Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. In Season 2 of Hacks and Hobbies, we're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life. We want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around. In this episode, we get to speak with Courtney Harring. She's a co-founder at MedSnake Media, and she's been running this full-service growth and billing company. She's got an amazing story. We had a chance to chat earlier in the green room, and I've been connected with her for over a year, and it's been really amazing to watch her journey and come all full circle. And she's doing some really amazing things, and I'm super excited to have her on the podcast. Courtney, thank you so much for taking the time and coming onto the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be on this podcast.
Absolutely.
I am just so excited to be able to tell my story and also kind of go through my journey in business.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So as we were talking in the green room, you were going over some of the things like whenever, as entrepreneurs, we know that we never get what we want. One, we need it. If you want some
Correct.
quiet, there's an ambulance running by, or
Correct.
there's something happening that's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I just need to disconnect, calm myself, nerves down, and then see what can come out of this opportunity. And as entrepreneurs, we get to a point where we know exactly where we can find something. Sometimes things don't work out, but other times it's like, okay, I can make this situation and make it work for me. It's like, hey, this is what's happening, blah, blah, blah. So tell us a little story about, tell us a version of your journey that no one's heard of before. And, where did MedSnake Media came from, and what inspired you to start this all up?
So something that probably no one has heard before is I never really fit in a lot of different places. In school, I was always the outspoken one. I was also the person that didn't really follow. Wasn't bullied. I did have friends, things like that. That's not where the story's going, but I couldn't, I guess, follow rules. I thought that some of the rules were honestly dumb, or they didn't make any sense. And how some of the things, that I wasn't good at, and I'll just say this, I wasn't ever good at math. And I'm saying this because I always knew I didn't want to do anything in math. So it was kind of like, why are we focusing on this? How is this going to help my life, and how is this going to mold me into the person, that I need to be? So I want to start out with, of course, school is important. Yeah. There's a lot of things that you get from school, but I also think that people with creative minds need to also be cultivated. Mm-hmm. And one of the things about me is I am an artist. I can draw very, very well. Only drawing, painting is different now, but I can, different medium. So, drawing, definitely pencil. I'm more of a dreamer, someone who thinks outside of the box. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that can be seen as, just kind of not good, right? I'm not conforming to society and doing exactly what I'm supposed to do, A, B, and C. Yeah. So I'll kind of move to, college. One of the things that I did was that really helped me grow was I am a Division I athlete, full scholarship athlete. I ran the 400, the 200 high jump, as well as all the relays. Mm-hmm. And that was the only place that my mind was quiet. Yeah. My mind is always thinking. It's always running. And the only time it's not running is if I'm running, literally running.
Yeah.
I think
let
I'm
the body
probably
do
just
the running.
exerting so much energy, right?
Yeah.
that I can't think, right? That's my peace.
Mm-hmm.
That's my peace. So I always thought it was a little bit weird because no one really talked about mental stability kind of around me and how important that also is, right, in our journey in life.
Yeah.
So I am still working on that, meaning, trying to incorporate like meditation, and also just taking a moment, taking a pause, and actually doing this podcast is actually making me stop and think about what am I doing. So again, I'm going to thank you for even having me on here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah, thank you.
So what's next? I mean, so you were a nonconformist. I'm going to just say that because there's something about school that wants you to make you conform, and that's because the schooling system is over 100 years old. They're designed for the industrial age where they want you to stay in one place for 8 hours. So they start with 3 hours, then they go to 5 hours. Then for full-time work, for school, then you're there 8 hours. So they're training you to be in one place and work a machine, so they're making you conform. And it's totally okay now to not be that conforming person. Like, no, I'm going to be my own individual person. I'm going to come up with my own, things that I'm passionate about and stuff. So totally awesome. Totally get it. I was the same way. And then you come around about, having your mind running all the time, which is a beautiful thing because you're constantly thinking, you're constantly solving problems, you're constantly taking a stand. But then again, we do need to go to sleep because that's where, they say that lack of sleep is what causes memory loss because you're storing all that stuff in that short-term memory. It's not getting the time to get transferred over to long-term memory. So, and it's amazing to see that, your mind calms down when you're actually running, and then you're actually doing the transfer. So really cool points that I don't know if you call it points, but yeah, I'm totally happy and glad that you're able to calm down and think about what you're actually doing and share that with us. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So fast forward to, I've gone to school, I went to college, I get a job. So my profession is social work. So because, I'm creative and I love people, I got into that business. And one of the things that I was doing was crisis work. So I was the one who came in if you were homicidal, suicidal, or had any kind of audio or visual hallucinations. I was the one that did your assessment and decided if you were safe enough to be in the community. I was really good at that. I was able to connect with people, make very quick connections, right, to get them to wherever they needed to be safe, possible. And what happened was I was doing well in that job, and I got pregnant. I was 36 at the time, and things were just happening, and it wasn't safe anymore, right? I'm not just walking around with my body. I have another body with me, right? So I had to do something different. So then I started working with veterans. I had my son, and 10 weeks of him being out, they said that basically he was possibly dying.
Oh my God.
So I lost my job during this time, and that was because I wasn't there. And thank goodness he is, healthy now, but basically we had bone marrow biopsies. We had spinal tap. he also had, just all of these things to think about a 10-week-old baby having all of these problems.
Oh my God.
And then I also lose my job. So I'm like, okay, I'm pregnant, really? And I have a baby now and I don't have a job.
Yeah.
So I was mad. And I tell people all the time, I was mad at a lot of things. I was mad spiritually. I was mad at my decisions in life. I had money, right? I didn't have a child without of, where I didn't have the money to do that. He does have a dad and we are together, but I'm just saying I wanted to make sure that I had everything that I needed personally, whether I was married, unmarried or not. So what occurred was I kind of slipped into a depression and postpartum. Again, they didn't know if he was going to die or live. And there was some major liver issues and they couldn't figure it out. So during this time, I went to a huge depression. I had to move because I didn't have a job. I had to move with my boyfriend at the time. And we had to figure it out. When I've always been independent. So I decided to make my own business. Because the reason why I was in the predicament that I was in was because if I had the flexibility that I needed in order to raise my family, that wouldn't have happened to me.
Exactly.
Right?
Having that flexibility.
So if I had the flexibility to go to the hospital and I didn't have to clock in, I still would have had my job.
Yeah.
So I thought about that and I said, well, why can't I do this? Why can't I have, flexibility and a job and make a living? So that's when I decided to, my first employment or entrepreneur ventures was called DC Billing and Consultant. And my child's name is Darrell Kyler. A lot of people were like, oh my gosh, are you in DC? I'm like, no, it's just his initials. I didn't know what else to say. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was not creative with the name. So basically, I created that, and that's when I kind of started, honestly, also LinkedIn started to become a journey during that time. And I got on there and it was crazy. The first month, I got like 4 clients. They were small. Yeah. Nothing big. But I was getting clients and I was able to pay my car note. I know it sounds so silly, but all I wanted to do was pay my car note. That was my goal. It was like $500, right? My insurance and my car note. So I said, that's my goal. And I was doing that and I felt so accomplished because I had went through my savings with this doctor's bills. I went through everything and I just wanted to pay my car note. It's so silly now, you're right. It seems so minor, but it was everything to me. Yeah. So I continued to go on LinkedIn. I didn't create any content. I don't think I created a video until maybe January.
Oh, wow.
But I got on LinkedIn around 2018, I would say, started playing with it. And then I saw this amazing person, which is Shaneé Moret, on there, and she did a video. And I don't even know what the video was about. Yeah. But she resonated with me. And I think she said something like, contact people. Like, you can't just be on here. Like, people aren't going to just come to you, right? So you're going to have to reach out. So I reached out to her, and our first conversation was probably over an hour. And it was because she also had a 2-year-old. We had a lot of things that were in common. Yeah. And one of the things was both of our children had been sick at one point at very early ages. So she understood the isolation that I had, because when your kid is supposedly sick, you're kind of isolated because, see, you're not the person on Facebook showing your kid with tubes and all this stuff and, in a picture, right? Or you're not Easter hunting or going to Halloween. He's not doing that. He's in the hospital. So it's kind of isolating, because you see things on social media, right? And it kind of isolates you, even though it may be real or not real. Like, people might not be happy on there, but it's always portrayed. So what was interesting was I had a billing company.
Mm-hmm.
And she has a marketing company, and we're both passionate about healthcare because that's who saves either our lives or our children's lives.
Yeah.
And we said, why don't we come together? So a lot of people told us that we were completely nuts. Like, why would you have a billing company and then a marketing company? And I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I do is I can build a practice from, the inception all the way until it, being an actual practice, you're taking insurance or cash or whatever. I can run your whole business.
Yeah.
But what happens is, let's say I open your healthcare business, whatever it might be, private practice.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have any clients.
Yes.
You need someone to market for you.
Exactly.
And that is exactly what was happening. I had opened 4 practices, and all of them, they didn't have any clients. So guess what? I wasn't getting any money because there's no billing either.
Exactly.
They don't have any clients. So that's how MedSnake Media came to be, because we were referring back and forth to one another. She would even get, marketing people, and then they didn't know how to bill, or they didn't have the insurance panels that they needed. They needed credentialing. So it just went back and forth, and we're like, let's just form this. We get along.
Yes.
We have respect more than we get along. Even if I don't like what she says, I still listen to what she said. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do in a partnership. Respect is first. And that's kind of where it's gone. So, as you know, my business partner is amazing with marketing. She just has this natural, people just want to listen to her. They want to look at her. They want to see what's going on. What does she do?
Yeah.
And she's helped me even kind of market my side of the business. So we started our business December of 2018. And we are now in September? Holy moly, September. And we are now billing for over 20 clients just for my billing section.
Nice.
We are now billing for 3 rural hospitals, and we have 4 other hospitals coming up. So we have completely changed everything in our lives.
Yeah.
Our business has just completely, and that's just on my side. Her side as well for the marketing. She probably also has 15, 20 clients, hardcore marketing for their healthcare facilities. So we've grown from literally 5 clients to over, a 6-figure business is what we've done in a matter of 7 months, 8 months.
Which is amazing.
9 months, maybe.
Yeah.
So right now we're scaling. There's just so many things that we have to do.
Yeah.
One of the things that, people ask me is, how do you think you got here so quickly? And one of the things is, number one, I had a business partner. It's really hard to go this alone, right? You have to have some kind of community,
so hard.
right? Isn't it scary to be alone? And it's just what are they doing?
Yeah. I go through that every day.
Yeah, well, you just need to call me. Just call me. Just call me, and we'll do it. We'll get it together. It's hard to go it alone.
Yeah.
I have to be put in check. When you're doing this business or any type of business, you don't know everything.
No.
You have to be humble and ready to learn. And that's another key component, right, that we need in here. You're not perfect.
No.
And you've got to really check yourself. And sometimes the only person that can check you, is your business partner.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of checking lately because we've had to scale. We now have over 10 employees.
Wow.
And we're just moving forward. Yeah. Thank you.
That's so amazing. I love that story.
Thank you.
For the longest time, there's a big difference between a freelancer and an entrepreneur. And a lot of people can do freelancing because, you don't have to, you do it on your own. Again, you're using your own time. And I've been telling this to everybody that I talk to, when you're doing it alone, you only have 24 hours. As soon as you add a second person, you now have 48 hours in that 24 hours. Yet another person, you're just multiplying that time. So now your 1 hour becomes 5 hours when you have 5 people. You've just compounded, you've exponentially expanded that hour. When people say, I wish there was more hours in a day, this is how you get more hours in a day.
That's right.
You build a team.
That's right.
Now you've got 100 hours in that 1 hour, because now you got 100 people working on that same project. And it makes so much sense. There's Michael Hyatt. He talks about, he just came out with a book called Free to Focus. And a lot of time as entrepreneurs, we are going it alone. We're going to do this alone. And sure, we have support from our spouses and our partners and our family, but we're still doing it alone. And so Michael Hyatt talks about virtual assistants. Hire an assistant, build a SOP or your what's that? I can't remember, but it's your process. What's your process of what you're doing? And so then you can grow your business because now you have these things in place. You can bring people in to take different parts of this SOP, and voila, it's so powerful. And you're telling me, you've got 10 employees, you have grown, from 2 clients to a 6-figure business in 8 months, 9 months, which is like, wow, that's powerful. That's amazing. I love it.
Well, what I love is that you explained exactly what we are trying to do in our business. One of the things that we're doing right now is we say that we're cloning each other. So I have a billing supervisor who's able to do exactly what I can do because there's no way. I guess, we've got to humble ourselves, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We think we can do everything, but that's not the way it is. No. Right? We can't do all of this stuff. No. You're never going to sleep. I also like the way that you said you have to basically invest to get more time.
Yes.
And I'll shout this out. I have a 2-year-old. He was not in school. Well, guess what? When I started to get 10 clients, he had to be in school. I couldn't work at night. So I had to pay God knows, I'm going to shout them out, $1,400 a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I totally
get that. To get more time.
Yes.
So I was upset. I was losing $1,400, but look at all the time I got.
You get all that.
So that's also scaling. You got to scale your personal life, and you also have to scale in business.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people fail, and they don't want to hand it over. But be joyous when you hand over that project and say, "Oh my gosh, somebody else has it. I just have to check in."
Exactly.
Like, how cool is that?
It is. It is really, really, really cool to be able to do that. Because when I started podcasting, I was, I had the time, and I was, staying up late, and I was editing all my episodes. And one episode, sure, I've spent an hour recording it, but it would take me another 3 hours to edit the episode. And initially, it was like, all right, this is no big deal. I can just get it done, have a process in place. But then I had interviewed over 40 people, and I have 40 episodes waiting. That's 120 hours for me to edit.
Yes, it is.
And I don't have 120 hours.
Yeah, you don't have it.
No. So then I was like, I'm going to bring somebody in who's an expert who can take this simple task and get it done and just give me the final product so then I can go and publish it.
Right.
It's like a weight off your shoulder. Like you can now
Isn't
think,
it?
oh my God.
Right. And especially with the brains that we have, that they're always running, like that's a nightmare. Like that's purgatory.
It is.
Right? You're like, oh my God, I have all this stuff to do and I can't even do it. And one of the things that I will tell people is get an assistant to make your appointments. Lord, who wants to, go back and forth with someone on when can they meet? Yeah. I don't have time for that.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. I now tell my assistant, and she's great, Kiera, because one of the things that I'll also give just a little tip. You know that you need to scale when you start missing appointments.
Yes, exactly.
And that was me. I started missing appointments, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why can't I do this? And what's going on? And it was because I had too much stuff, or information, like you said, in my brain. Yeah. And most of the time I'm driving or I'm multitasking, and it's great because I get to send my assistant, hey, it pings in my brain. I send it to her like on Basecamp, and I'm like, hey, make an appointment for this person. I haven't heard of it, or whatever is going on. Yeah. And it's gone, and I get to purge. It's almost like purging information. And someone else is going to take care of it.
Mm-hmm. It's just like so this is exactly what geniuses do, right? When they say, you need to journal, that's exactly what you're doing. You're putting all your ideas down on paper. You don't have to put them on your mind anymore. They discovered this storage full of notes. And these notes, this is Albert Einstein's storage. It was full of books with his notes, because in order to use your mind as a processor, you need to stop making it a storage. And that's what most people do.
Great.
Right? Most people do. They have all these thoughts in their heads. They're like, someday I'm going to do this. But now they're walking around with these backpacks and these, basically you're walking around on top of your head, a big suitcase of all the ideas that you're going to do. Well, that's going to weigh you down. So if you write them down, your brain is now free to process information. So just like that, you're handing off these tasks to somebody else so they can take an action and do it. You've delegated. Delegating is so important. And the more I see it, the more I realize that what I've not been doing. Like I look around, we've moved into our house about 2 years ago. It's over 2 years. My office still not complete because I need somebody to help me organize this stuff. My workshop is not complete because I don't have that extra help. I'm looking to my wife. I'm like, hey, can you help me? Sure. But then when she's home, she's like, oh, I need to do this in the kitchen. I need to reorganize the pantry. I need to.
Yeah, she's got to feed you guys.
She's got her. Yeah.
Exactly. She's got stuff to do.
Yeah, exactly. And, I'm like, oh my God, we need somebody. So now we're talking. I'm like, I need somebody to help me organize this office. I need somebody to file this stuff away.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my
God. It's crazy. And I just moved like 30 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I am just like, oh my gosh, like who's going to help me with the closet? I mean, the stuff is in the closet.
Yes.
But I mean, we moved. So, I just threw it in there.
Yep. It still needs to be organized.
Right. It still needs to be organized. So that'll be on my list as well.
Yeah.
To do as well. But it's something. But again, I think being cognizant of that.
Yeah.
Is again just so amazing and important. Yeah. I think some people are just in their own world, think that they can do everything, and it doesn't work like that.
No.
It doesn't. And you have to delegate, and you have to be okay with someone else touching your stuff.
Yes, that's the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing. I mean,
the reason why you're, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. It is crazy.
It's okay for someone to touch your stuff. Or to know your little secret, right?
Yes.
They're still not going to make the secret sauce like you, right? No. I mean, I don't care what recipe.
Mm-hmm.
or whatever you're doing, but you've got to give it away. And I love the way that you said, purging, getting it out of your system, getting it out of your brain. That is so important.
Yeah. Because it's like our computers, right? Our phones. They start becoming really slow after a couple of years because we've stored so much stuff in it. It's running out of memory. It's not that the phones have gotten slower. They're as fast as how they were when you first bought it. They're still as fast as they, it's just that we have grown, we have become faster in using our applications.
Right.
So, and when you mentioned about, your closet, every 3 months we're going through our kids' closet. We have 3 kids. So every 3 months, every 4 months, like, all right, these clothes are not going to fit on my 1-year-old daughter anymore. We got to get them out. So we're doing that all the time. And that's part of life. You're always growing. Like, our entire body is brand new every week because we have all those dead cells are gone. We have brand new cells. So just like that, we need to be able to let go and bring people in.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
So we've just got a few questions and we can wrap this up.
Sure. Let's go.
What is one hobby that you wish you got into?
So I know this is going to sound hilarious, but I love to play video games. So I want to actually get back into the hobby of playing video games. And one of my biggest love of video games is Call of Duty.
Oh my God. That's an awesome game.
Yes, I am one of those people. So before my son, I was really, really good. And I had a clan and all of that stuff. So I feel like I need to get back to that. And yes, I am almost 40, but I'm good.
No, absolutely. I totally get that. And I would love to get back to my video gaming too.
Right? I love video games.
I've got virtual reality set up and I can play all sorts of games. Recently they just introduced, you could play racquetball by yourself in the virtual room. You're inside the sphere and it's crazy. All right. Next one. What is your favorite movie or TV show?
So my favorite movie, which is also hilarious, is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and it's the old one with Gene Wilder.
Oh, I've never seen that one. I can
sing it all. Oh my God, you gotta watch it.
I'll have to check it out.
So good. Yeah, fantastic. I'm like a kid. It's really, yeah.
No, I totally get you, man. I'm right there with you. I sit and watch animated movies all the time.
Yeah.
If I can, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
What movie would you choose if you get to play a character in it?
Oh my. So I would say a movie, and I had one. This sounds silly, but like Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
Alice?
Absolutely, you could totally be Alice.
Right?
That's the entire idea.
Stuff and walking around.
Yeah.
In weird worlds, right?
In a weird world, exactly.
My gaming.
Yeah, and
mentality.
And that's exactly what they did in Ready Player One. They had to be inside this movie and play and figure out, okay, what do you need to do? And the book version sounds really cool. Than what they were able to squeeze into the movie. So yeah. Favorite superhero, who would that be?
Oh my goodness. So I'm still, right now, it's Aquaman. I like the water. How dope is that?
That's a really dope movie.
Right?
Yeah, they did a really nice work.
It was so good.
Yeah.
They did a really good work on that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that was super cool. And I do think that, I loved how they tied in, especially the oceans and how we're polluting it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really, really good touch on explaining that to people, that we've got to really do something for our, water people. Exactly. Well, there's no water people, but, our water animals.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love it. So who would be your so that's your superhero, Aquaman, right?
Mhm.
Last question. If you were a board game, what would it be?
Oh my, Clue.
Clue. That's a fun
Remember
game.
Clue?
Yeah. That's a really fun game.
I love that because you always have to think, and I like different alternatives, right? And the game's never the same.
Yeah, it's never the same. Awesome. Well, where can my audience find you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn, and it's just Courtney Harring.
Awesome.
And then I, obviously, MedSnake Media, all one word, .com is my business website.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Courtney, for your time. I know as an entrepreneur, it's so hard to find time, but if you have the proper systems in place and a team, then we can make more time. It's awesome.
Right.
Love you. Love it.
Exactly.
Thanks so much for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the episode. Thanks so much for listening to our guest on this episode. Please send me an email at junaid@hacksandhobbies.com to tell me what you loved about our guest today. You could find links mentioned in this episode on the hacksandhobbies.com website.